Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing well. Hope everything in your world is fabulous. Please let me know in the comments down below. Bank account has been set up for the new business. I have checks and all that stuff. All the tax paperwork is ready to go, and setting up a business is both fun and nerve-wracking because I realize that this is just now yet more paperwork I have to keep track of and file and all that stuff. And until the business is established to the point that I can afford to pay somebody to do that for me, it all falls on me, on top of running the business and doing all the paperwork and yada, yada, yada. So, that being said, next week I will be in Dallas-Fort Worth for a board game convention. I will leave on Tuesday, so not the whole week, but most of the week. I will leave on Tuesday and return on Monday. So for those 4 days next week, I would like to pre-record content. I've done this in the past when I've gone away, and it's worked out pretty well. I think that I can put up some quality content that is pre-recorded without having the personal segment, where I talk about what's going on in my world, and it's still quality. And I would like to use those 4 days to talk about the process of setting up my business, the process of setting up my software, my choices of platforms, my development stack, why I choose to use just raw PHP over using something like Angular or any of the various templating engines, why I choose to code things the way I do, that sort of stuff. And so I need your input on what you want to hear about. I've had quite a few comments saying people would love to know what my stack looks like. If you're not aware of what a stack is in the world of IT, in the world of not just programming, but actual like hardware IT also, we talk about a stack being the layers of languages or protocols that information travels through to get from one point to another. And in my case, in the software case, it means from the user to the database and back. So what I am using, nothing more than PHP, which is an ancient language that lots of people like to make fun of, and I don't get the reason for that. I don't. Anyway, PHP sitting on a CentOS version of Linux, running Apache. HTML and CSS, and MySQL is my database. Or maybe I'm using Mongo. Not Mongo. What's the other? Yeah, it's not MySQL, but it's MySQL. MarianDB. So if you want to know why I've chosen that particular set of tools, I can talk about that. I've had people want to know about the business registration process, about forming a partnership or a sole proprietorship or an LLC. If you want to hear about that, we can talk about that. If you want to hear about finding clients and doing the dirty work, we can talk about that. In fact, maybe I'm just spelling out the 4 episodes right now. And hopefully I will culminate in a little bit of a demo of what my software actually does. That way you can understand going forward why I've chosen to do things the way I've chosen to do it, instead of choosing all of these fancy tools that people like to say, my startup uses XYZ. So what do you want to hear about, specifically related to my business? Or if you're thinking about starting a business and you have questions, there's a million ways you can reach me. The comments down below are probably the easiest. My Twitter, always available, or Instagram. My email, that's simple. And my favorite, which nobody seems to use very often, is the voicemail, 602-7433. You can call and ask me a question, and I'll answer it on one of the episodes next week. So I'd like to put together 4 like startup episodes, like kind of the why Chevee chose to launch his startup this way as opposed to this way. And we can have a good discussion about it, because I don't consider myself flawless, obviously. I think you guys know that by now, that I am definitely hypercritical of myself and my choices. And the way that I've built this particular set of software or a particular platform is the way that I'm comfortable doing it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. And I'm more than willing to have an open discussion about that. And if somebody can show me, the better way, I'm on board, right? The good news is I have some amazing friends out there in the world. I have a very good friend who is a business systems analyst who has spent last week going over, oh my, that's probably my kid. We're both a little bit sick today. Spent the last week going over my data structure and then looking at the actual platform itself to give me some insight into if I'm doing things, quote, correctly or not. He's not looking at the code because I don't think I would be willing to show anybody that. That's kind of like letting you look at the streaks in my underwear. And until I get the code cleaned up, I'm going to leave it kind of to the side. It works. Will it continue to work if the business grows to thousands of users, thousands of concurrent users? I'm not positive, but it currently works. What else? No, that's it, really. Oh, and I have Josh. Obviously, Josh has been on board for a very long time. He's helping me think about a lot of the business structure, keeping me on track mentally with going through the hoops. And, because everything, sitting in a bank for an hour to set up a bank account, it's just time that's just like, God, I don't want to do this, right? But you have to do it. It's just part of the process. Do not get behind on taxes. Do not get behind on payments. Do not get behind on collection. Remember that bill collection is part of your job. And if unfortunately, people are going to stretch their payment times as much as they possibly can. In the school systems, not so much. I don't have to worry about that. But, if you're dealing with clients, chances are you're going to have to be a bill collector. And there's a whole lot of stuff to setting up a business that is scary. And I'm grateful to have a lot of really wonderful friends who are willing to kind of look over my shoulder and say, yep, you're doing good. And push me along so that progress gets made. Because otherwise I'll probably end up playing Super Mario Odyssey and not doing work. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for questions. Please hit me up at any of those myriad ways of contacting me. Let me know what you want to hear about next week, and we'll go over it. This weekend we had the soccer tournament. I told you I'd let you know how it went. We got second place, and but the girls, I cannot fault them for it at all. They played their hearts out. The team that we ended up playing in the championship, we had played them earlier in like the bracket stages, and we tied them 2-2. And I'll tell you, and I'm dad moment here. We tied them 2-2 because Keely was in goal, and early on in the game there was a penalty kick, and she made the save, and it was unfreaking believable. It was the most perfect save, heart attack moment for everybody on the sidelines. It was intense. And then we played them again in the finals. It was 0-0 through 2 overtime periods and went to penalty kicks, and we lost in penalty kicks. As a soccer fan, I hate penalty kicks. I think they are a complete farce. But unfortunately, the tournament has to come to an end. They can't keep playing and playing and playing, and that was just how it worked out. And unfortunately, it fell in the opposing team's favor. And that's just how it works. So we came in second due to penalty kicks, but honestly, I cannot be happier with the way that our team played. Those girls were freaking phenomenal. So we had a really good weekend together as a family, hanging out and watching Keely just dominate the soccer field. It was fun. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to my little tidbits and helping me prime next week. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I will be there all week next week, and I would love to come say hi, or you can come say hi, however it works out. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Doc, wait! I want to ask you something.
Today's random fact comes from blog.allstate.com. What is the youngest driving age in the U.S.? In the vast majority of states, the minimum age for unsupervised driving is 16. The youngest legal drivers are in South Dakota at 14 years 6 months. The oldest minimum age is New Jersey at 17.